Welcome back, everyone. We've had maximum government support in various sectors. Exploring this aspect, we have another engaging fireside chat just to understand the view of the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT, on alternative assets and startups. And to explore this conversation, we have today with us Anjali Bansal, the founder of Avana Capital, a venture fund that invests in technology and innovation led startups focused on sustainability to generate outsized returns and impact at scale. Anjali is a former non executive chairperson of Dena Bank, which is now Bank of Baroda. She was earlier a global partner and managing director with TPG Growth Private Equity. She serves on the board of several leading companies and is closely associated with Niti Aayog's Women Entrepreneurship Platform, is on the advisory council of the Open Network for Digital Commerce, and has been appointed to the Experts Advisory Committee of Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, announced by the Honorable Prime Minister. She has been recently elected as the president of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome, Anjali. Nice to see you.
Rochelle, thank you very much for the very kind introduction. It is a pleasure to be here. Good evening and namaskar to all the participants in the Maximum India Conclave of the IVCA. Today, I have the unique pleasure of hosting a discussion with Shri Anurag Jain, who is the newly appointed Secretary for the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, as better known as DPIIT, which is really the nodal department and ministry for the venture and startup ecosystem in India. Let me introduce Shri Jain, and then I will invite him here on stage. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us. Shri Anurag Jain is an IAS officer of the 1989 batch in the Madhya Pradesh cadre. He has vast experience of finance sector, information technology, district administration, and rural development. So he has really sort of spanned in his career journey both Bharat and India. He has served as Secretary to Chief Minister Madhya Pradesh, as Joint Secretary to the Honorable Prime Minister of India. He was also Additional Chief Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. As Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, he's actually credited with conceptualizing and implementing one of the most successful innovations to come out of India, which is the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, the largest financial inclusion program in the world. As Secretary to the Chief Minister MP, he was the prime mover of enactment of the Public Service Delivery Management Act, an innovative concept which was subsequently adopted by more than a dozen states in the country. And as Secretary IT Government of MP, he was also instrumental in taking the state to top rungs in e-readiness assessment of states and union report. Shri Jain holds a BTech in electrical engineering from IIT Kharagpur, which I'm sure will be a very recognizable fact. And so he's very much part of our technology and innovation ecosystem. Being in government, he has been an innovator throughout his career. Shri Jain, again, thank you. And we are very grateful as IVCA for your taking the time this evening, given that you have recently taken charge, and I know you are in the middle of the rollout of a very big and very important program. Let me start first by setting a little bit of context. And a big thank you really to DPIIT and Startup India from the perspective of the startup and venture ecosystem. We thank you for regularly hosting regulatory roundtables for domestic funds and AIFs, global funds, and its members, always being in a consultative mode, helping solve bottleneck issues like angel tax, extending support by boosting domestic capital via opening the avenue of EPFOs, holding path-breaking events, Global VC Summit Prarambh 2021. We also thank DPIIT for leading new initiatives like the National Startup Advisory Committee, the National Startup Awards, Doordarshan Channel for Entrepreneurs, and establishing the Startup India Seed Fund for incubators. Most of all, as a VC, we thank you for extending support for domestic participation and supporting the AIF regime through SIDBI FFS. Welcome, Shri Jain, and I will turn over to you for your introductory remarks. We then have a few questions, and we will go into a discussion mode.
Thank you, Anjali ji, for very kind words. Rajat ji and all other esteemed guests who are there on the VC today. I think the startup journey really took a transformative change in India with the start of the Startup India program in January 2016. Not that startups were not there before. As Anjali has just pointed it out, that Jandhan was one of the most successful programs to be launched by the government. But Jandhan also produced a lot of startups. I recall even before that, even before we launched Jandhan, when we made the presentation to the Honorable Prime Minister, we talked about the technology, use of technology. We talked about what was the technology we were going to use. We talked about NPCI, RuPay and all that. We said, no. Look at the young entrepreneurs and see what you can do. And even before that launch, we had a conference, technological conference for 2 days. And I can tell you, our eyes were open. Even our bankers were not knowing all those technologies which had already come up. So a startup system was there, but it was not developed as an ecosystem. It started developing like an ecosystem after we formalized the program, the government formalized the program called Startup India. I don't need to dwell much further on that because all of you know much more than me. You have been associated with it for so long now. It is more than 5 years old program. I was fortunate to be part of the team when this team was being created. I was in PMO at that point of time. Uh, it's really a very, very pleasant thing to see it mature into such a big tree now. As I am told, now we have more than 56,000 startups. More importantly, we have now, Shruti, our colleague today told me that number. When I joined, I was given a presentation on startups. I was told that there are now 66 unicorns in India, out of which 38 have happened in this year. Today she said 66 figure is past. It is now 69, and out of which 40 odd are in this year itself. So that's a huge success. You can't expect any better results than that. You can just hope and hope for more to come. What is more important? I was just thinking of it. India had a good cricket team. India was always a very strong team for the last 20-30 years. We were hovering around number one. But suddenly certain things happened in India. I am not valuing into cricket much right now because that's not the subject. But the cricketers from the tier 2 city and tier 3 cities started coming into the national team. And all of a sudden, a real transformation happened. And we have been the most competitive team for the last 20 years now. So something similar has happened to the startup. Earlier for us, the startup story used to be Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi. Now I am really very happy to see the startup journey has entrenched itself. It is now, I am told, in more than 630 districts of the country. 45% of the startups are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Many of the unicorns are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. This time the national awards, they were started last year in 2020. So those national startup awards, many of them were backed by the startups in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. One of the most important reasons I think of this, what has happened? One, of course, the most important thing is organized ecosystem which was created by the government. Of course, that is the most important. Other factors the subsidy factors which come to my mind, one and foremost is the millennial generation. The people of this generation are much more smart than the generation of our parents. They are not risk averse like our generation. At that point of time, either you go to US, like when Anjali was talking to me, I did mention that probably among the top 10 of my batch, I am the only person who is in India. Everybody went to US immediately thereafter, after the graduation. But we were risk averse. We actually sought jobs. I started working for a private sector company, and then I thought, what am I doing? I'm just looking after a few years, I will be bothered about the profit and loss of the company. So my father suggested, why don't you try this civil services? This would be a much better fulfillment. So I shifted. But this generation is risk taking, is not afraid, is savvy, well read. When I talk to young minds who make it to IAS or some other entrepreneurs, when I get the chance to discuss, they are really very, very knowledgeable, I can assure you. The kind of things we were not even able to engage in at that age, they talk about it right. So that's the real transformation in this millennial generation. Technology has been a great leveler in this country. I recall we were always talking about as policymakers the kind of opportunities a rural youth gets because the level of education was vastly different. But with technology, the most important thing which we said used to say in those times that it would be a great leveler because the level of education, the access to good quality education to a person residing in interiors of the country would also be similar because of the technology. And Digital India has gone a long way in supporting our startup India. I wish the whole ecosystem well. I wish your IBCA organization well, and I hope you are able to play the kind of role you are playing because I know this role is going to be most crucial in wealth creation. We are looking forward. We are talking about $5 trillion economy, and you are going to be very, very crucial for that. You are the real wealth creators. This story is unparalleled. Right now, we talk about our ecosystem as the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. But they began their journey. US began its journey 30 years ago or 40 years ago. I recall early papers in late 90s talking about venture capital funds and these kind of concepts in US. China started a few years later. We started much later. But we are fast catching up. Our transformation has happened in these 5 years. So that's a very exciting growth story. And I hope with the kind of system you have, and it's a close partnership with the government. This is one place where I think government has really broken all kinds of tackles in the sense. When I was being presented about this startup, I was really happy to see that almost everybody on our council is some big name in the industry. It is not dominated by civil servants. Actually, the people who know how to do business are advising us, and we are playing a catalyst role. So there's a right kind of partnership which can go a long way in transforming this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuragji. I'm going to pose a couple of questions and then request you to probably just address them in a holistic sort of way. So we spoke about the 55,000 plus registered startups. We've talked about the $350 billion potentially of value that can be created. We have talked about 25 new unicorns in 2021 alone. And 25 billion US dollars has been invested into the startup ecosystem in the first 3 quarters of calendar 21. India now ranks number 3 in the world in the number of unicorns. And for me, unicorn is a mythical creature. It's just a number. What it indicates is there are enterprises of scale that have been created in less than 10 years, because that is the definition of startup. We are only behind US and China. More importantly, the top 25 startups in India have actually created more than 1 million jobs or livelihood opportunities, whether payroll or contractual. So in addition to being wealth creators and value creators, startups are also, in our view, the source of innovation that will solve a large number of problems, whether it is livelihood, it is market access, it is inclusion. So as you look at this from your position and from the government's point of view, the need to create about 10 to 15 million jobs per year over the next decade. A lot of startup activities, as you rightly mentioned, are now going into the tier 2, tier 3. Can you share with us a little bit of what is happening in the startup action plan at the state level? How does that sync up with DPIIT's vision and goals and help budding entrepreneurs? So, sir, taking innovation and entrepreneurship down to the state level.
Yeah. DPIT has come up with a lot of programs. And when I was speaking, giving my main thoughts, sharing with my main thoughts, I brought it out that uh, it's a holistic approach to give impetus to the ecosystem. So whatever you talk about the schemes of DPIIT, like right now we are talking about PLI. PLI is a fantastic opportunity to get those funds. We have got fund of funds, 10,000 crore fund,
Right.
6%. We have come out with a seed fund last year of about 1,000 crore. So that fund of funds, I mean, I did not explain. We are investing in 10 to 30% in some other funds. So therefore, it gets a multiplier effect. Similarly, seed fund. After that, it was actually found out at the policy level, probably from suggestions from all of you, that even when a fund gets interested in an entrepreneur, that's a much later stage. Real struggle of an entrepreneur happens much before that, and that's the time somebody needs to hold his hand. So that's the stage when we are supporting with that seed funding, and that seed fund was set up last year. We have started doing awards which will sort of catalyze. We have started mentoring programs where all of you are there. I'm told that almost all of you are doing some real good social service by being part of the mentoring network, which actually helps people and people from the smaller towns also to connect with you. That's again a technology is playing a great layer part. These ranking system, when this startup started, I'm told that there used to be only 4 states which had a policy about the startup. Now it's almost 30 states and UTs which have a policy about the startup. And we have a lot of other policy supports, like you have preferential treatment to purchase the services from startups. Earlier it was always a very difficult thing for a startup because all government tenders could ask for a certain minimum experience or certain minimum turnover. So how do we get into that unless I remember one of the films where it was a dialogue, तब experience मांगते तो experience से पहली बार तो कोई job देगा. So it is something like that. So all these things have actually, when I talked about the startup movement getting entrenched into India, getting deep-rooted in India, that's reflected in the factor that almost 630 districts have a startup or something. Fortunately, this was a great provision by the government that we define what a startup is. Like in many countries, you don't define what a startup is.
Right.
And really define the kind of definitions we have, like it should be the technology innovation or job creation, employment creation, or wealth creation, that kind of clearly we have defined. Otherwise, and frankly speaking, this is a kind of activities which the government should support. In the long run, I always used to say earlier, when having debates on the policy, that we should support, government should support industry only because the only reason why the government should be supporting industry is it creates jobs. So therefore, our policy initiatives to support should be centered around job creation. And I was handling a whole lot of policy space there. So the Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Protsahan Scheme, that labor scheme came only because of that, because I was very clear that instead of capital subsidy, etc., because they are not people. It's only adding to the profit of the people. But having seen this startup movement, I am convinced that in addition to job, we should also support the startup because wealth creation and job creation is much faster in this space.
Absolutely, sir. And this is a very exciting time because we are seeing the confluence of very good technology, great ideas, and very, very good young talent in India. So we are all very, very bullish. We believe that there is about $125 billion of capital that will need to come into India over the next few years to support the startup ecosystem. As of now, about 80% of total capital is foreign capital. And I know there are a lot of efforts underway to promote the participation of domestic capital, whether it comes from EPFO or through the AIF regime. Would you share a few thoughts around what can DPIIT do and what can industry do to actually foster more participation of domestic capital and hence capture of some of the value and the wealth being created? So 80% of that does not then leave the country. when we have unicorns.
That is very interesting. But one thing which, having worked in the Department of Financial Services, I know whatever we may say, but bankers are relatively conservative. I remember I was part of the team. I was looking after SIDBI also as a joint secretary, and I was board of SIDBI. So we set up some funds in those days, and when we started with a fund of about 500 crore rupees, I think even after 1 year we were able to spend some only 30-40 crore rupees because we were finding the decision making very, very conservative. So the point is, we need to ensure it's an entirely different space. The people who are willing to take risk should invest, as by definition, some 70-80% of the investments will go back, but 20-30% investment will get click, will more than recover whatever investment you are getting those remaining 70-80% cases. But unfortunately, in the government system, people will not talk about 20% places where you have made money. People will talk about 80% places where you have. So therefore, it becomes a very difficult thing. So I think that's a very neat structure, this partnership, where you have given certain funds, which sit in another fund, and it's a multiplier effect. Plus the kind of things you talked about, EPFO, etc., that's there. Finally, right now we all know that liquidity is very high. That's why the rate of interest, I mean, inflation is one concern, but otherwise also liquidity is high. So it's a question we should start debating, because if we expect banks to go into venture capital funds, it's not possible. But if by the proper record, we can encourage banks to invest in these funds and have that multiplier effect. That kind of a roadmap we should be looking at. That's my first thought. I think we have to give more deeper thought to it, how to get Indian capital attracted towards it. But till such time, because Indian capital alone will not be sufficient, because the kind of growth we are talking about. Finally, in economics, I mean, all of you would understand, you have done all this all your life, so you understand more than me. When you talk about the macro space, the economic growth rate, you have a savings rate. That's all you can invest.
Right.
But to grow at a rate faster than that is the dream. So you do need the foreign capital. It is not that you don't need the foreign capital, you can replace it by the domestic capital.
Right.
So we should also encourage foreign capital. There is no harm. That goes a long way. And over the last few years, government has taken very, very bold reforms. Most of them across FDI is on automatic route, and therefore I think it's a great time to be in for young entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much. I think we are coming to the end of our time, sir. I'll turn over to you for any closing remarks.
No, it's too early in the day for me in this job, and actually I am too tied up. I would request all of you to look forward to 13th October. Some major scheme is going to get launched, which is going to change the working of the government. It's the way government functions. The whole infrastructure sector is going to undergo change. That's another innovation which has been done. I have no role, I have just joined, but our department is coordinating that effort. And that's a very, very exciting thing which has happened. Now that will also throw open a lot of opportunities for the young entrepreneurs on the technology side. Basically a technological tool we are talking about, Gati Shakti National Master Plan. So please look forward to 13th. That day when PM inaugurates, the link will be shared. All of you can watch that. And then, because that will just give you the outline. Thereafter, you should engage with our team. That will give a lot of, I mean, when the young entrepreneurs, these technical minds get associated, there can be a lot of innovations as supporting tools for the decision making, etc. So please attend that program virtually. That would be available on the virtual space.
I think we have all marked the date, October 13th, in our calendars. And once again, heart is 11 o'clock, indeed. And also thanks to Madam Shruti Singh, who is the JS in DPIIT, and we have all collaborated. The industry has collaborated with her, got a lot of support over the last many years. So thank you to you, sir, to your team, and to DPIIT, and we look forward to our continued interactions.
Thank you, Anjali ji, and best wishes to all the participants. Thank you, madam.